ترجفا.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. أمال الإنجليزية؟
Made either in French or English. Thank you. صباحكم سعيد.
Good morning. I'm pleased to welcome you to this international conference organized by the Higher Council for Education, Training and Scientific Research in partnership with UNICEF. The subject is violence in the school environment. To launch the proceedings of this conference, I'm pleased to give the floor to Mr. Habib Maki, President of this Higher Council for Education. The floor is yours, sir. Thank you. Mrs. Pisiuzi Hakizimana, Mr. Secretary General, Mr. Director of the National Authority for Evaluation, ladies and gentlemen, members of this council. I'm very pleased to be here with you today on the occasion of the opening of this international conference organized by this Higher Council for Education and Training in collaboration and cooperation, of course, with the United Nations Organizations for Youth, for Children, on the subject of violence in a school environment. This is an issue which is of great and special importance for the vision we all aspire to build a new school. And I would like first in this meeting to extend my sincere thanks to our guests, especially Mrs. Najat Majid, Special Representative of the Secretary General of the United Nations in charge of fighting violence against children, and Mrs. Ghizlan Benjoun, Vice President of the National Observatory for Children's Rights, and especially my dear children who are present here today, and to all the associations, professors, researchers present here today, and who participate here today with us online. I would like also to seize this opportunity to commend the United Nations Organization or Agency for Children, UNICEF, and its representatives in Morocco for their collaboration and for their continuous support of this council. And I would like to express to them on behalf of this council all my thanks and gratitude for all the efforts they deploy for the success of this meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, the ratification of the Kingdom of Morocco of the International Conventions for the Children's Rights in 1993 has constituted a historical moment in the promotion of the situation of children at the international level. It was signed by the late King Hassan II, may he rest in peace, in 1989 in New York City, and afterwards they ratified the International Declaration for the Preservation of the Life of Children, and afterwards our country's subscription in this project under the enlightened stewardship of His Majesty the King Mohammed VI and Her Highness Princess Leila Mariam. The building of the future of the new school is tied to the building of the future of children, which is one of the pillars of our social project. And in this way, the Council, considering its responsibility, focus its efforts to evaluate public policies in relation to education, training, and scientific research with deep belief of the subject of the school and children in order to consolidate the situation of schools for everybody on equal powers and equal opportunities, with the guaranteeing of individual development. And in accordance with such orientations, our Council is committed to work in accordance with its consultative mandate to support and consolidate all the initiatives that contribute to the achievement of such objectives, a way that guarantees especially the right to schooling and generalization of preschool education, and to provide the necessary conditions. We are confident that the reform of education requires of us stronger commitment from all stakeholders in this field. It requires also strong contribution by all stakeholders in society, and the subscriptions of this Council in this effort as a power of suggestion is a condition for the promotion of education through education analysis and evaluations related to all the problematics of education. In addition to this, and considering that the educational system is about to take on big transformation in the future, dictated by the rapid development in knowledge and technologies that we are supposed to follow, the Council is called upon to play the role of mobilization of all the players for the development of the new school, and is called upon also to mobilize the two driving force 18 and 21 that are stipulated in the strategic vision in order to fight all forms of violence. In this context, the Council, in partnership with UNICEF, dealt with violence in school environments as a preoccupation that prevents us from achieving the set objectives to achieve the news and reach the new school as we want it all, especially within our schools, which leaves its impact directly on the future of our children. Today, we try to understand this phenomenon in a better way and to evaluate its impact on the quality of learning and the learning school climate in order to set efficient policies capable of implementation in order for the adoption of a comparative analytical methodology, and to define the good practices and the educational systems that can help create a school environment that is appropriate for learning. It is the educational system is supposed to provide secure, safe environment for education and personal development. We're considering it as an environment where everybody should feel, all children, teachers, the educational staff, parents would feel safe and secure and feel supported. But in fact, reality quite often is different from this image. So the studies have put the finger in our schools in many times different phenomena in terms of violence, harassment, aggression through internet, which sometimes becomes social exclusion that impacts the environment of learning and would also impact the safety of children and their comfort at schools. What is important now is to affirm that the negative influence of violent act goes beyond immediate victims, to impact also other children who saw such negative acts, which create a climate of concern, which impacts undoubtedly the learning and their ability to focus and concentrate in learning, and also leads to the reduction of the self-confidence, which leads eventually, and in extreme cases, to the phenomenon of school dropouts. Ladies and gentlemen, considering what has been said before, we are called upon to put the finger on the violent acts at schools in all its forms and shapes, and to analyze the main causes behind such behavior in order to draw the required lessons in order to consolidate the culture of non-violence and to create school environments that are safe and secure, that would provide the reasons for care and respect. This is what the study has focused on. This study was carried out by the National Authority of Evaluation with the support of UNICEF. This was its main objective, in fact. It is here worthwhile mentioning in this regard that the most important conclusions that this study has reached is that the prevalence of the violence in schools is close to the study results registered internationally, and it has reached very preoccupying levels despite all the efforts to fight such a phenomenon. Certain general indicators from this study shows the widespread prevalence of this phenomenon in school environments in different cycles, among which, among such indicators, we have the verbal violence. The study shows that the children who were victim to this violence represent 16% in the primary school and 23% in secondary schools. And concerning physical violence, the percentage of the children who inform about such a violence vary between 15% in college cycle to 13% to secondary school. Among the other fundamental indicators also is that the one that's considered the measurement of the impact on what violence can create. This violence that children are victim of, and its impact on their school itinerary. As an example, it is worth mentioning that the evaluations that had been done as a part of the national program for the acquisition of the evaluation for acquisition for 2019 shows that the results acquired by children in primary schools who have been subject to violent acts is fewer than between 12 and 17 points in relation to their peers who have been victim of such acts. This is a gap could also be bigger in the secondary and college cycles. This study also has shown that the violent acts in schools committed by children amongst themselves against each other mainly, and the teaching body comes second in very well defined percentages. It has also been demonstrated that the administrative corps outside schools are among the people who are behind violence in a school environment, but with lesser percentages. Quite often the violent acts usually takes on sexual violence to which girls are subject to, be it verbal or physical, and so on. Ladies and gentlemen, regardless of all the analyses and evaluations that we can carry out on the different forms of this phenomenon and its spreading, it becomes a real challenge for the right safe performance of the educational system in general, and for the opportunities of the integration of the individual in his environment, and for the development of society as a whole, that requires of us, all stakeholders, to give it special attention in order to create an educational climate that provides an environment of safety and security for the learners that is characterized by high quality of learning. In this context, I would like to share with you certain procedures that we consider in this council as necessary. It can even be very critical in this field. First, or include the issue of fighting violence at schools as a very important issue in the educational reform, which requires of us commitment to perspective treatment and for this phenomenon in order to contain it at all cycles and all grades, school grades, which requires us to deploy special efforts, that requires of us to sensitize and to increase the awareness raising among all the stakeholders and players in order to prevent all forms of violence in schools. Second, to call for the establishment of control systems and to consolidate sanctions, disciplinary measures, and their implementations, which reinforces the climate of safety and self-satisfaction of learners. In this regard, we need to deal with school violence through disciplinary measures and more control, preventive control from all kinds of acts, and in a more serious and efficient way. And to achieve this objective, it turns out that it is necessary to introduce the systems of control of all forms of violence, and to inform on them. And this is also to be applied about the creation of a database, well defined, and to put in place important indicators in order to study the whole phenomenon as a whole. The second part is related, or the third one is about the creation of organizational instruments efficient inside each school and institutions to oblige everybody to respect the codes of conduct and charters inside the school. In conclusion, I hope that our discussions would be deep ones that would help us to understand better the ways and means to fight this phenomenon in the service of our educational system in all its levels. And I wish you all the success in your work, and I would like to thank you once again for your attendance, and peace be upon you.
شكرا سيد.
Thank you very much, the President of the Council for Education. Now the floor goes to the representative of the of UNESCO in Morocco, Species Haki Zamana. The floor is yours.
Merci, Monsieur.
Thank you. The President of the High Council of Education and Scientific Research, the representative of the United Nations in charge of the protection of children, and the bodies in charge of evaluation, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, experts, dear children, dear partners, dear colleagues. This week we'll be celebrating together the International Day for combating violence and cyber bullying or harassment. During this day, we remind you that at schools, children are not still or anywhere in a protected environment as we wished it to be. It's something, school has to be a place for learning and blossoming, but sometimes it turns out to be unsafe. But it has been turned into a place where fear is produced at a higher level. We see the violence related to and resulting in the difficulties of learning for those children. Also, it diminishes the services provided to those children, and the serious studies have reflected that this is important to have at schools. Security is important not only at the physical level, the affective level, but at the mental level, and behavior levels also are important. That's what we observe in the victims of violence. amongst children. It's the result of a long work conducted by the High Council for Education and the UNICEF to develop this research, types of research at schools. And this is important for school, which constitutes a global priority as it is in Morocco. Our duty is to react for a better school to serve its noble mission and give the opportunity for every child to learn in a protected environment, no matter what their sex, what their socioeconomic, social, their residence area, and so on. The right to education is fundamental. As stipulated by the Children's Right Charter, which this education will lead to the transformation of society to re-engage each country regarding the Sustainable Development Goal, SDG number 4. From here to 2030, all the girls and boys will receive equal education on equal terms and get the opportunity to learn and be taught in a fair manner, and also be served in very useful ways for their future. We repeat it again, violence in schools is a cause for the dropouts and failure in schools. A lot of children drop out of schools because of violence or fear. Together with the High Council for Education and Training and Scientific Research, we have conducted a research on the violence in schools, which has enabled us to learn about the deeply rooted reasons and how to transform this school environment to a safe environment, which is underway. And you are here to discuss all of this, and will be discussing all of this during these 2 days. The conclusions of the study that has been conducted, that will be presented to you today. Truly, deeply, I would thank the president and his team, knowing the difficulty that we've had to conduct this study. We started in 2020, and we've finally finished in 2022 with some viable colleagues who've been working hard, and they combated all the factors like COVID and so on. They worked under harsh conditions like COVID and so on and forth to finish this study. This has been achieved through our partnership that was exemplary and a model, and I would like to thank you, Mr. President, and your team in this regard. Ladies and gentlemen, violence in schools, as Mr. President mentioned, is an international phenomenon. Through this international consortium, where we'll be exchanging experiences and reflecting about this with the children, with all the experts attending with us here, in order to mobilize everybody, even the players in the educational sector and the general public, to deal with the positive aspects that we need to deploy. This meeting is for coming up with a concrete recommendation. Mr. President has mentioned some of them, and it'll be great to hear you. We are all ears to get your recommendations into consideration, and we try to prevent, in order to be able to prevent such violence in schools. As we said in the beginning, the privilege of considering Miss Najat Mzid, who is the special Najat Mjid Mala, special representative of the United Nations Secretary General on Violence Against Children. Her contribution to the work of this consortium is very highly appreciated, and I would also wish to receive your support, Miss the special representative of the UN Secretary General on Violence Against Children, and in order to improve the schooling environment and be working together for a better future. I'm not going to suffice with this, but we'll be talking later about this deeply. Just to conclude, and I would like to call upon everybody to participate actively to realize some applicable results over the 2 days we'll be spending together, and thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la.
Thank you very much, Miss the representative, and thank you very much for the representative of the UNICEF. The floor now goes to Hisham Ait Mansour. Hisham Ait Mansour, Director, National Body of Evaluation, the Higher Council for Education, Training and Scientific Research. Thank you very much. I think that all the essential things have been mentioned by my predecessors. I'll be brief to leave some space for children to get the floor after me. As you've just mentioned, Miss, the representative of the UNICEF, this consortium is the start in the inauguration of a process that will put in the hands of the players and the concerned ones an element to work on. This process has been piloted and steered by Ahmed Bourqiya, who has honored us with with her presence, and she started this process of the study and she launched it in the first place. So today the consortium, as you can see, as you can notice, it deals with the political practices, political aspects and practices, and our role is to examine this politics. There are no policies that have been put forth without any basis when it's based on academic researches. When there's no academic research, no good policies can see light. So they interact together, and the consortium, this meeting, examines this together along with other aspects. Through debating and exchange. I'm not gonna read the program. There is the plenary session that will shed light on the question of the question internationally speaking. We have Najat Mzid here who will be talking about this, and Tracy Vayanko from the University of Ottawa. We have workshops planned that will deal with deeper and targeted points, the good practice, the roles of the players, and so on and forth. I would like to thank once again our partners from the UNICEF and the team of the NU who have been working on this meeting and prepared for it earlier. Thank you. Thank you very much. The Director, National Body for Evaluation, thank you very much. After these opening speeches and statements, I would like, now I invite you to discover the speeches of children, statements of children who will be attending this meeting. Thank you.
سلام، أنا ندى وأنا هنا اليوم باش نهضر على موضوع اللي كيهمنا كأطفال.
I'm here to talk to you about a subject that concerns us as children, which is violence in schools. A lot of children throughout the world suffer from this violence that can be physical or psychological. It's bullying, insulting. So it has an impact on the lives of children over the years to come, like the physical hurts and injuries and so on that will lead to dropping out of schools. How can we combat such a phenomenon in schools? There are a lot of steps that we may take to reduce such a phenomenon. We have to encourage children to report each case of violence, and they may be oriented towards adults who would be able to assist them. And we have to raise awareness to this through workshops that may help children start to debate and open channels of dialogue, like the workshops organized by the High Council for Education in partnership with UNICEF. We've worked with a lot of children who represent different regions of Morocco. What are the concerned regions that suffer from this phenomenon? We divide them into three categories, which are children, the environment, and the institution. And we also worked on the recommendations that will come out of this which will come out of this meeting on violence in schools. We attended, all of us, to curb the violence in schools. I'm also part of all of this and contribute to the combating of violence in schools, which leaves a negative impact on the psychology of students and lead them ultimately to dropouts. I'm at the High Council for Education to work on a very important case for children, which is violence in schools. The results of the school conducted in partnership with the UNESCO and its results have been shared with us. So what are the concerned, the competent authorities, what are the procedures to be taken to work on this case, and also prepare recommendations to the decision makers. As for my statement, violence is not accepted in schools. I would like to thank all the people who have taught me a lot of things I couldn't learn by myself. They've helped me. My classmates would be able to know about this through me and through others in order to deal with this and curb this phenomena. I defend the children's rights, especially the ones going through hardships, the children going through hardships. We have to encourage advocacy and advocate for everybody, especially regarding violence in schools. I'd like to tell you that you have to trust us as children, and we are here to prove our presence and get across our message. Finally, to conclude, in order to guarantee such a safe environment for children, we have to work, all of us, hand in hand to eradicate this phenomenon, because this is our responsibility. All let's work together against this phenomenon of violence in schools.
أنس لابد.
Anas, are you fine? What's wrong? You seem so preoccupied with life. Leave me alone. I can't talk. I want to be alone. I can't leave you alone. We're friends and brothers and sisters. What has changed you? What are you going through? Let's keep your lips sealed, please. I'll tell you. Don't worry. Go ahead. Talk. Talk to me. Let it out. Students bully me and they laugh at me. They betray me. This is too much. This is unbearable. Oh my God, that's bullying. It's called bullying. It's one of the problems that a lot of children suffer from at schools. Oh, my sister Sana, if I have this problem going on, I have only one solution. That is to drop out of school. No. It's a firm no. Listen, brother. Yesterday, I took part in a...
So I was in this training program in collaboration with the UNICEF, where there were kids like you and me, and we addressed the problem of violence in school. Do you think there is hope? Of course, and we will have a conference in Rabat about the violence. And even the students are taking part of it, and the responsibles will listen to us, take our consideration and even our propositions and suggestions. Do you want me to share with them? Do you want to send them a message? Oh yeah, I have a lot to be said. I would like to have a safe school, a school where there is equity and justice, where there are teachers who can listen to me, and I would like to have a school with zero violence, and we have all, and where everyone is responsible. Yes, you're right, and we should all take part in the reform, and we are able to make an end to this behavior, and our schools will be zero violence, a school where our dignity is preserved. Thank you. Thank you. This play was presented by the children who were in a previous workshop and was played by Yusuf, the cheerful little child. He is from Casablanca, and Shayma also from Terdant. I would like also introduce Mehdi and Duha, who also took part of the workshop, and